What if I told you that a private habit, one you've had for decades, might be the very reason you're feeling less like yourself today, that something so routine, so familiar, could be quietly damaging your prostate, weakening your erections, draining your energy, and even dulling your emotional connection to others? Most older men never see it coming, and by the time the symptoms appear, trouble, sleeping, numbness, loneliness, or a fading desire, it's already deeply woven into their routine. I'm Dr. Mohit Kara, a men's health specialist with over 30 years of experience working closely with aging men across America. In that time, I've seen a powerful truth emerge. It's not the act of masturbation itself that harms older men. It's how, why, and when they do it that makes all the difference. And here's the paradox. What worked when you were 25 might be slowly breaking your body down at 65. The same habits that once felt harmless or even helpful can become the hidden triggers for low testosterone, poor sleep, pelvic pain, and emotional flatness. That's why in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 4 most damaging masturbation mistakes that men over 60 often make and deeply regret later in life. These mistakes are surprisingly common, quietly destructive but absolutely reversible. And the moment you understand them, you'll finally have the power to reclaim your strength, your sensitivity, and your sense of control. Stay with me, because mistake number 3, it's the one I've seen ruin marriages, and most men don't even know they're doing it. Let's begin before we dive in. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, so you never miss another important health insight created specifically for men over 60. And if this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments if it doesn't, type 0, so I know how to serve you better in the next one. All right? Let's start with the first mistake, because it's one I see in my clinic. More than any other, it seems harmless, even comforting, but over time, it silently rewires your brain, dulls your natural desire, and leaves many men wondering why they no longer feel the way they used to. Let's talk about the hidden cost of relying on pornography after 60 mistake. Number 1, the dopamine. Mistake number 1, drain, relying on porn after 60. I'll be honest with you, this is one of the most common and most overlooked mistakes I've seen in older men. And for many of my patients, it didn't start out as a problem. In fact, they often tell me it helped them feel something in a time of loss or boredom or distance from their partner. They didn't think much of it. Just a few minutes of escape, a little relief, a harmless habit. But what started as a private coping mechanism slowly turned into something else, entirely something that began changing the way their brain experienced desire. One man in his early 70s, let's call him Joe, sat across from me with tears in his eyes. He said, "Doc, I thought I was just getting older, losing my edge, but now I realize I can't feel the real thing anymore. I don't even want it the way I used to." That broke my heart, because Joe's story isn't unique. I've heard it from hundreds of men, and it all comes down to one thing. Dopamine. Dopamine is your motivation, your anticipation, your sense of reward. And when you watch pornography, especially the fast extreme kind, so common today, your brain is flooded with it. At first it feels exciting, but the more you do it, the more your brain gets used to that flood. Over time, your receptors start to dull. They stop responding the way they used to. And suddenly, the gentle touch of a partner, the smell of her skin, the intimacy of real connection, none of it feels as stimulating anymore. Your body hasn't given up. It's your brain that's gone numb from overload. That's the tragedy here. Many older men think their lack of desire is because of aging or low testosterone. And yes, those things play a role, but far more often it's this subtle dopamine exhaustion that's to blame. It creeps in quietly. You don't notice it happening, but One day you wake up and it's been weeks, maybe months, since you felt real natural arousal, and worse, it can lead to a cycle of needing more extreme material just to feel anything at all. I had another patient, Bill 67, who told me it now takes him twice as long to reach climax and he doesn't even enjoy it anymore. It feels mechanical, distant, hollow. We worked together to reduce his screen exposure and help his brain recalibrate. And within just a few weeks, he told me something that stuck with me. He said, "Doc, I didn't realize how much I was numbing myself. I feel like I'm waking up again. That's what's possible, not just performance, but presence, not just function, but feeling." You don't have to quit porn forever if that's not your choice, but you do have to be honest with yourself about what it's costing you. Because if you're over 60, your brain is more sensitive to chemical signals than ever before. And the very thing you think is keeping you connected may be the reason you feel more disconnects than ever. So I'll ask you this. When was the last time you felt truly alive in your own body, not from a screen, not from fantasy, but from touch, breath, emotion? If it's been a while, you're not alone and you're not broken. You may just need space to reset. Your pleasure system is still inside you. You just need to give it a chance to recover. And speaking of recovery, the next mistake might surprise you, because it's something most men do, thinking it helps them relax and fall asleep, when in reality, it may be destroying the very rest and restoration your body desperately needs. Mistake number two, using it to sleep, the hormonal backfire. I can't count how many times I've had men look me in the eye and say, "Doc, it's the only thing that helps me sleep." And I understand you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, your mind is racing. Maybe your body feels restless, so you turn to what's familiar. Release some tension, get a moment of calm and drift back off. It seems harmless. In fact, it seems helpful. But what I've learned after working with thousands of men over the years is that this late night habit is quietly doing the exact opposite of what you think it is. Let me tell you about Frank 66. He came to me complaining of fatigue, foggy mornings, and a growing sense of frustration. He wasn't sleeping through the night. He'd wake up groggy, like he hadn't rested at all. "I don't get it," he said. "I fall asleep just fine after I finish, but I still feel like hell the next day." So I asked him when and how often he was releasing. He told me almost every night around midnight or later. Here's what most men don't know when you masturbate at night. Especially after 60, your body doesn't just release tension, it also releases a cocktail of hormones, oxytocin and prolactin, yes, which can help you relax, but also a sudden drop in testosterone and a disruption in melatonin timing, the hormone that actually controls your sleep cycle. That peaceful feeling afterward is short-lived. What follows is often fragmented, shallow sleep that doesn't restore the body. And as we age, our systems don't rebound like they used to. Our hormone balance is more delicate. The coordination between testosterone, melatonin, and cortisol, those vital rhythms that control how we sleep and heal, can be thrown off easily. What seems like a soothing ritual is actually sending your body mixed signals, confusing your internal clock. Frank didn't believe me at first, but he agreed to try something different for 1 week. He skipped his nightly habit. He focused on relaxing routines before bed, warm showers, deep breathing, reading something meaningful. And in the morning, when his body was naturally producing more testosterone, he allowed himself release. If he felt the desire, by day 4, he came into my office looking different, clearer eyes, straighter posture. He smiled and said, "Doc, I forgot what it felt like to sleep through the night." That's the power of timing. Masturbation isn't the enemy, but doing it at the wrong time, when your body needs restoration, can rob you of the very healing you're hoping for. And here's the other piece I want you to hear. When your sleep suffers, everything suffers: your mood, your memory, your desire, your cardiovascular health. I've seen men gain weight, feel more anxious, even spiral into depression, all from chronic sleep disruption caused by hormonal misfires at night. You don't have to stop altogether, but shifting when and how you self-pleasure could be the key to getting your energy and focus back, especially if your mornings feel like a struggle. It's worth considering that your nighttime routine might be part of the problem. And now, as we move forward, I need to talk to you about the mistake that's perhaps the most physically damaging of all. Because while hormones can recover, the next issue, when ignored for too long, can leave behind lasting damage. That's far harder to reverse. In fact, it's the one mistake that's quietly robbed countless men of their sensitivity, their confidence, and their ability to enjoy intimacy at all. Let's take a deeper look. Mistake number 3. Mistake number 3, too much pressure, nerve damage over time. This one hurts to talk about because by the time most men realize what's happening, the damage is already done. It sneaks up on you slowly over years, even decades, and most men never even think twice about it. I've had men in their late 60s and 70s come into my office frustrated and confused, telling me they've lost sensation. Doc, I can still get hard, they'll say, but I don't feel much. Sometimes I don't feel anything at all. And what's worse, they blame themselves. They assume it's just age, but often it's not. I remember one man in particular. Mark, 71. He was sharp, funny, still full of life, but the sadness in his voice was unmistakable. I used to feel everything, he told me. Now, I just go through the motions. I want to connect with my wife, but I can't feel her. I can't even feel myself when I asked him about his habits. He told me he'd used the same technique since his 20s. Fast, tight, grip, no lube, because that's what had always worked. And that right there was the issue. The penis is an incredibly delicate organ, not just in function, but in structure. It's packed with fine nerve endings, particularly along the dorsal nerve, which is responsible for delivering sensation to the brain. When you consistently use too much pressure over and over again for years, those nerves begin to wear down. It doesn't happen in a day. It doesn't even happen in a year. But gradually, sensation dulls. Erections become weaker, climax becomes more difficult, and by the time a man realizes it, he's already 30, lost something precious. This isn't about shame. This is about awareness. You've spent decades learning how your body works. But the truth is, your body changes. What felt normal or pleasurable at 25 might actually be hurting you. At 65, just like your knees or your back need a gentler approach as you age. So does your Seathleti Mark. Made the decision to shift everything. He started using a softer grip. He slowed down, he used lubrication for the first time in his life. And most importantly, he gave himself permission to rest, mentally and physically, within a month. He began to feel tingles again. They were faint at first, but they grew stronger. That's when he looked at me and said something I'll never forget. I thought I was broken. I'm not. I was just being too hard on myself. Literally, you see, your nerves can regenerate, but only if you give them the chance. If you've been feeling numb, disconnected, or frustrated, this could be the reason you're not too old. You may just need to relearn how to treat your body with gentleness and respect. Masturbation isn't supposed to hurt. It's supposed to nourish, to connect, to restore. And it still can if you change how you approach it. Now, what we've talked about so far has been physical. Your brain, your hormones, your nerves. But the next mistake, it lives deeper than that. It's not about how your body feels. It's about what your heart has been carrying. Because underneath all these habits, there's often something unspoken, a quiet loneliness, a silent shame. And most men never talk about it out loud, but they should. And that's exactly where we're headed next. Mistake number 4. Mistake number 4. Emotional disconnect. When loneliness hides behind the habit, there's something about silence that most people don't talk about. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that creeps in when the house is too quiet, when no one's calling, when the chair across from you stays empty day after day. I've had so many older men sit in my office and with a half-hearted chuckle say, "I don't even know why I do it anymore." They're not talking about desire. They're not talking about passion. They're talking about habit, about filling the space, about trying to feel something. And I get it. I really do. Because sometimes masturbation becomes the one thing that offers a moment of escape from the ache of missing someone, from the weight of years gone by, from the growing distance between who you were and who you are now. But when that release is driven by loneliness rather than connection, it starts to change us. Not all at once, but gradually, deeply and quietly. I remember a man named Walter. 74, widowed for 6 years, he told me, "It's not even about Seethal anymore, I just don't want to feel so alone at night." And he said it with so much honesty that it stayed with me, because what he was really saying was that he missed warmth. Not touch, but tenderness, not climax, but closeness. And over time, he'd started replacing that need with a habit routine mechanical. Without meaning he thought it was helping him cope, but instead it was deepening the distance between him and the life he truly missed. When we masturbate without emotion, without presence, without intention, it can slowly rewire our brains to seek sensation without intimacy. We train ourselves to choose isolation over vulnerability to avoid connection because we fear the emptiness that might follow if it's gone again. And when that happens long enough, we start to believe that this is all there is. That touch without love is normal. That pleasure without purpose is enough. But deep down, we know it's not. Walter eventually started making small changes. He joined a local men's group. He wrote letters to his wife, not to send, but to remember. He began walking in the mornings with a neighbour, and something shifted the next time he touched himself. It wasn't out of emptiness, it was out of care. He told me, "It's different now, I'm not just passing time, I'm remembering how to feel again. That's what I want you to take from this. Self-pleasure isn't wrong, but when it becomes disconnected from your heart, it starts to shape your relationship with yourself and with the world around you. If you felt a sense of numbness, a lack of joy, a heaviness you can't name, it might not be age, it might be emotional distance. Disguised as routine, you are not alone in that feeling, and you're not weak for admitting it. In fact, acknowledging that quiet ache might be the strongest thing you ever do, because once you see it, you can start healing it. And when you do, you may find that your body, your heart, and your life begin to feel fuller again. Now that we've walked through these 4 powerful truths, there's one final piece I need to share with you. It's the thread that ties all of this together. The mistake that almost every man makes, no matter how smart, strong, or self-aware he is, it's the one that keeps so many men stuck, simply because no one ever taught them how to listen to their own bodies. And once you understand this last part, everything else begins to make sense. Conclusion. The mistake beneath them all, ignoring what your body is telling you after all these years working with men in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, beyond. I can tell you there's one mistake that underlies every single one we've talked about. It's not just the reliance on porn. It's not only the timing or technique or the emotional disconnect. It's something deeper, something quieter. It's that we've never been taught how to truly listen to our bodies. We were raised to tough it out, to keep going, to ignore the signals, fatigue, numbness, loneliness, frustration, and push through. And for a while it works until it doesn't. Until sleep becomes restless. Desire fades, intimacy feels like a memory, and you find yourself wondering, is this just what getting old feels like? But aging doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean going numb. It means learning to pay attention in a way we never had to. Before, it means recognizing that our body speaks to us sometimes, in whispers, sometimes in symptoms. And the most courageous thing you can do is to listen, if any part of this message struck a chord with you. Take a moment, just one. Ask yourself, honestly, have I been ignoring what my body is trying to say? So that's okay. You're not too late. You're not too far gone. You're not broken. You're waking up, and when you choose to make even the smallest change to how you touch yourself, when you do it, or why you're not just fixing a habit, you're reclaiming your health, your strength, and your self-respect. And that's something no one can take away from you. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself, like the video, so more men can find the truth they were never told. Share it with a friend, a brother, or anyone who might need to hear this, and I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let me know what part spoke to you most. If you believe in content that supports men's health with honesty and respect, consider making a small donation to help us reach more lives. Your support means everything. This is how we change the conversation together,